Bill Watts punching you in WCW. What happened?
Yes.
What happened?
Yeah, we were in Milwaukee for the Clash of Champions. Steamboat and I were wrestling, Brian and Steve, and by this time the angle was pretty well progressed. I believe we were the main event, and we get there earlier in the day. Now, this is when WCW has the rule, no blading. You'll get fired. And Bill, we get there, and Bill takes me away. Let's take a walk. And walking, we just keep walking and walking and walking away from the dressing room, away from Steamboat. We're walking down these stairs into this band. We're down by these huge boilers in the basement. Like my first thought was like, is he going to bring me down there like shoot me or something? Like, what did I do wrong? I mean, we're like in the bowels of the building, and we get all the way down there, and he said, "I got a very serious question to ask you. Can you get color without getting caught?" Now this is a Clash of Champions. This is an 8-camera shoot, and I went, "Oh, I don't know, man." I said, "Will I get fired?" Hell yeah, we'll all get fired. I don't know, Bill. I said, "That's I don't know where I could go unless I climb under the ring or something." And he said, no, but I want you to think about it. So I went to Jackie Crockett, who was the handheld guy. Jackie was phenomenal. I mean, he could, like a clock, like a nuclear clock. He was right on time. So I went to him and I said, hey, can you? Well, I asked Bill first. I said, can I smarten anybody up? He goes, hell no, you all get fired. I said, if I don't smarten up Steamboat and he thinks I'm hard weighed, he's liable to jump in and start beating people's asses. And he goes, okay, well then Ricky. And I said, can I smarten up Jackie? And again, he refused. I said, if I don't, he'll catch me, and then we'll both be on the line. He said, those two, nobody else. So I went, told Steamer. He was fine with it. Went and told Jackie, and Jackie said, hell no, it's my job. And I said, Jackie, can you give me anything? He said, I thought about it for a few minutes, and he came back and said, I'll give you to the count of 1,003. So now we're doing the match. I had on my finger and wearing white tights, and the damn blade had worked its way through the Band-Aid and cut my finger, so I'm bleeding. So if you watch closely, every time the referee walks by me, I'll like rub my hand on him or like on my boot. I'm trying like on the rope. I don't want the blood to be seen. So we finally go to the 4-way, hot finish, referee putting Steamboat out. I do the roll up on Steve into the cover. Brian jumps off the top with the belt and hits me. I take the bump to the floor, and as I'm going through the ropes, in my head, I'm going 1,001, 1,002, 1,000, and at 1,003, here came Jackie around the corner. Perfect, right? So good heat, got great heat on the blondes. We go back to the dressing room. This is one of these buildings that has a stage area, and on both sides of the stage, there's these, always these stairways that go up, I don't know, 6, 7 floors, and there's 2 little tiny dressing rooms on each floor. So we're all the way up on the top, and we're in this, I think it was me, Zank, Brad Armstrong, and Ricky. Well, I'm there, I've wiped my face off, and I'm taking my boots off. We're ready to get showered and leave. We were done as far as we knew. So Bill comes in. I hear him coming down the hall. Son of a bitch, where's that Shane Doug? That was fucking great. He comes around the corner, and he goes, let me take a look at that. So he's standing right here, and he's like looking at my head, and I'm taking my boots off, and all of a sudden, boom, knocks me back in the chair. And I come up out of the chair with my fists up, going at him. Steamboat jumps in between us. He goes, what the fuck was that for? He goes, you guys have a promo at the end of the show. We had never told us. And Ricky looks at him and he goes, and he couldn't get it again? And just it's simple, right? They wanted to wrap my head and everything. I was pissed. And didn't say anything. We get in the car afterwards, and we're done, showered up, and we're leaving. So we get in the car. Ricky always drove at night. So I get in the passenger seat, and I pull the door shut, and Ricky pulls his door shut, and he leans into me like that. So I put my hands on. I said, "What, are you going to hit me now?" And he looked at me and he said, "That son of a bitch ever does that again, you fall down and say you can't feel your legs." I'm sitting in the car and I went, that's why he's the smart veteran and I'm the dumb kid. Right? And later found out from Rick Root in ECW that Bill walked through the dressing room showing everybody the blood on his hand and said, I just punched that motherfucker in the face and he didn't do a damn thing. I'd have kneecapped him if I knew that. He'd have been in a wheelchair right after that. But yeah, looking back, and you've probably heard me say this many times in interviews, I don't advocate the way that Bill managed, coached his team, so to speak. But I had coaches in sports younger that were in that vein, yell at you and, throw, smack you on the head and stuff, trying to bring more out of you. And that's what Bill was doing. I think he took it way too far. And I don't advocate that stuff, but I do find it interesting. You'd have to look high and low to find somebody that worked in either Mid-South or later the UWF and went on someplace else that weren't great at their craft. Everybody that went through, even the gimmicks like Junkyard Dog and the Hacksaw, never dropped the ball. And I think it goes back to that Bill Watts acumen, that Bill Watts coaching style, that it was like pretty much learn it or else. And I've told the stories about seeing guys get their teeth knocked out and stuff, from Slater. As a young kid, that's pretty impressionable. You're seeing this kind of thing and thinking, holy hell, if I screw up and get my teeth knocked out, it's, it was pretty tense. It was always tense there. But I look back and heard interviews, how many times I say, Bill Watts taught me this, I learned this from Bill Watts, an awful lot of times.
Absolutely. Just going on that before, I've heard that multiple times where somebody has... I've heard it from Bill where he's basically sucker punched someone for some reason. I'm not to be Kevin Nash's biographer, but I know he did it to him. I didn't warn him he was going to do it, but there's some people also out there who really, really enjoyed getting a hard way blood going, maybe like Harley Race, who just had that knack for punching downwards and just cutting, and just doing it. Who was the best at, or in fact, who insisted on only bleeding hard way? Do you know, if anyone?
Oh. I was never in the ring with anybody that way. There was one time with Candido and XPW. We're wrestling each other in XPW. And I had said, I was the booker. So I said to him, look, I'm not sure if the time's going to present itself, but if it does, can you hard way me? Well, yeah, no problem. So when you hard way, what you want to do is with your knuckle right along the brow ridge, the eyebrow bone right here is pretty much a razor blade inside, split really easily. And so we get into the match and getting good heat built. And I said to him, get it. So he comes down and he does that kind of a punch. I said, in a hard way. So he comes in and he keeps doing it. And he comes like sort of downward, but like full fist. And I said, no, it's knuckle. And he keeps doing it. So he's like literally in the ring, like punching me, which what that does is that keeps it from splitting because now your face starts to puff. And we come back, and I walked up. And I said, "Chris, what the hell?" I walked over in the dressing room, and he started bleeding. Went, So I've never seen anybody that just insisted on that. But to be fair, by the time I was starting to get up that card a little bit, Harley and those guys were still around, but they were sort of like he's now doing like the King gimmick in WWF or whatever, sort of on the downside of his career. And I certainly wasn't anywhere near the ring with those guys. So I'd never, that would be something like if you and I were working, we would talk.